flight plans. You can create a flight plan to go from A to B to C to D to E, wherever.
Okay.
And you can create that in the active flight plan, and then it'll take you there. Or you can store into the flight plan catalog. And let's say we wanted to go from Whiskey 42 to Millville. There's already one in there. So we highlight it, we hit menu, and then it gives us a choice of either activating it, inverting it and activating it, so I want to come home, or create a new flight plan, or copy flight plan, or delete flight plan. So in this case, let's go ahead and activate it. So we'll hit the enter button. And when you do that, it now brings up in the active flight plan Whiskey 42 to 0 Whiskey 3 to EVY to Millville.
Okay.
All right. So let me just put that in my iPad here, and I'll show you what that route looks like. Whiskey 42 to 0 Whiskey 3 KEVY AMIV. There's the route. From there to there to there to there.
Okay.
Now we're currently out here, so it thinks we're trying to go on that first leg. Okay? And if we had taken off from Whiskey 42, we'd be heading out to 0 Whiskey 3, and once we get to 0 Whiskey 3, the box will automatically then cycle us to the next waypoint. Okay. And on the display, by the way you toggle between displays is on the flight plan you push it, and then when you're done you push it again. Okay. There's no turning over here. Flight plan is kind of the exception. But what the box thinks you're doing right now, because we were going direct to Whiskey 42, it thinks you're going to go there and then continue on that trip to Millville.
Gotcha.
And we know that because you see that little arrow? That means you're going direct to Whiskey 42. Okay. All right. And you'll notice the color of the first segment is magenta. The future segments are white.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, now let's suppose we decide, hey, I want to cut the corner here. I don't want to go all the way to Whiskey 42. I want to go right to 0 Whiskey 3. So go to Flight Plan, and then highlight the no, don't turn the button. Stop.
Okay, clear.
Yeah. Once you highlight it, then you got to use the big knob to move. If you turn the small knob, it thinks you want to put a new waypoint in.
Gotcha.
I'm going to show you that in a minute. So use the big knob, and then hit direct, and then enter, and one more time. So you see what it's done? It's now set us up. Let's go ahead and turn for that.
So is that to clear out our flight plan at that point, or just...
No, the flight plan's still in there, but we're going direct to 0 Whiskey 3.
Okay.
And once we get to 0 Whiskey 3, then it'll continue to sequence us to the rest of the waypoints.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm just showing you how to use because we'll need this in our cross country. Now let's suppose that we decided we didn't want to go right to 0 Whiskey 3, but we wanted to go to an intermediate waypoint. And let's say that we wanted to go to Belay intersection. So we go back to the flight plan. I want to insert a waypoint between Whiskey 42 and 0 Whiskey 3. Here's how you do that. You highlight, then using the big knob, we go to the place where we'd like to insert, and it automatically assumes it will insert before the one that's highlighted.
Okay.
And now we turn the small knob, and it's going to start bringing up waypoints for us. And we just dial that in. There's Belay, and we hit enter. Now, it's got Whiskey 42 to Belay to 0 Whiskey 3.
So in this case, we're going to have to go back up to tell it to go direct to?
That's right. So let's turn the big knob. No, don't turn the small knob.
Hit it again.
Yeah.
Button again.
Got to turn the big knob. And then we hit direct to Belay. And activate. So now, we're going to Belay first. Am I making some sense with this?
Oh, yeah. Just the big knob, small knob thing that keeps knocking me off.
What's that?
Just the big knob, small knob that keeps me confused.
So, in your flight plan mode, once you push the cursor and you highlight it, it gives you a choice of either the small knob or the big knob. The big knob navigates. The small knob dials in a new one.
Okay.
All right, now let's decide we don't want Belay in there anymore. We want to go right to 0 Whiskey 3. So let's go ahead and push the cursor and highlight it. and now using the big knob, go down to belay, and now hit the clear button. It's going to ask us if you want to delete that one, and the answer is yes, so hit enter. Now it's gone.
Okay.
Now we want to go direct to Whiskey 0 Whiskey 3, so we hit the direct, enter, enter, and now we're back.
Okay.
So you can add and delete waypoints in your flight plan. And that might not seem useful to you right now, but once you're flying instruments, there are lots of times where you'll put in a detailed route. And ATC will come in and give you a shortcut. They'll say, instead of going that route, you're cleared direct to some waypoint that's further out. And that waypoint might not be in your flight plan. So you'd have to go in and put it in there and then go direct. If it's one that's already in there, let's say we're flying here and ATC says, okay, you're cleared direct Millville. So show me how I would go direct Millville.
I would hit flight plan.
Flight plan. Cursor and then big knob.
Is Millville this one?
Millville, that's the Millville, yep. And then direct.
Direct.
Enter,
Enter.
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 So now we're cutting the corner. We're going right to Millville. And what's the heading?
The heading right now is...
The desired track is 115. That's what we need. We're doing about 125, so we got to come left just a little bit. Yeah, you're going the wrong way. Go the other way.
The other way?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm off here is what the problem is.
No, the heading you want is 115. You're doing 120, 130.
Yep.
And again, that heading does not account for wind. That's just the track that'll get you there. And it looks like we got about 60 miles to go. Ground speed's 90. And if you look at the flight plan, it'll actually tell you the estimated time en route.
Okay.
Again, I'm just giving you a very sort of high-level introduction to how, and this is how we'll actually use the radio for navigating on a cross country.
Okay.
All right.
Switch back over here real quick.
All right. Yep, didn't take. There you go. Well, one more try. There it is.
There we go.
Okay. And what I'd like to do is let's talk a little bit about instrument flying.
Okay.
What's required for the private ticket is 3 hours of hood time.
Okay.
Just enough so that if you're flying along and you would fly into bad weather, you'd have enough skill to be able to keep the plane straight and level, make a 180-degree turn, and get back to clear.
Okay.
The trick to instrument flying is you're not going to look at it here and use your visual pictures. You're going to be depending on these instruments to tell you. So, let's see. Why don't you give me a right turn to 270.
67 Hotel, final 12 Lee.
Any questions about what we covered there or the VOR?
No, it's going to take some practice, I think.
It is. I find the GPS, the Garmin radios, very easy to use once you get the hang of them.
Yeah.
You know, sort of, it's mostly getting to know what knob to turn when.
Right, yeah.
Once you get the hang of that, it's real easy. Because the architecture's simple. It's just, menus and pages. Okay, what you do is put the hood on. And here's how I would do it. I got the airplane. Take your headset off, put the thing on, and then put the headset back on. Now you want to position the hood so that in your normal viewing, you can see the instruments, but you can't see outside the airplane.
Okay.
Okay?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to try strive straight and level. And this is your primary instrument, it's your attitude indicator. If you keep the wings, the little orange bar, roughly on that horizon, and that little centerpiece in between those two little orange ones, if you keep it like that the whole time, we'll go straight and level.
Okay.
Just concentrate on that. You don't need to make large corrections here. We're talking about just tiny little things. And if the airplane's trimmed out and it's smooth air, you can almost just let go. And the airplane will kind of fly itself. There's a tendency to over-control.
Gotcha.
Now, once you get looking at that, we need to cross-correlate that to what's going on with the other instruments. So there's two ways you do that. One is you do what's called a round scan. So we go from here, altitude, vertical speed, heading, turn coordinator, airspeed back. That's one way. Another way to do it, which I do, is this is my center point, and I go like this.
Back and forth to the
back and forth.
Attitude indicator. Okay.
And the speed with which you do that is about the pace at which I ran my finger. You're never going to look away from that for very long.
Okay.
So if I want you to hold a heading, if you keep the wings level and you don't turn, your heading will stay the same.
Yep.
But if you miss a little bit, you cross-check against that and say, hey, okay, I'm off just a little bit. So
I am off a little bit now. You asked me to go 270.
All right, so let's go ahead and turn to 270. Again, very shallow. And the little thing over here, the turn coordinator, that tells you the direction you're turning. And when that little tip of the wing is on the R or the L, that's called a standard rate turn. And if you're doing a standard rate turn and you hold it perfectly at that point, it'll take you 2 minutes to do 360 degrees.
If you put it on this line down here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of acting weird right now. I've got to look at that. See how it's moving all around? It shouldn't be doing that. May need to get a new instrument. But for now, focus on the heading, the attitude indicator, and then I'd like you to hold altitude. So what we're looking at over here, our target altitude was 2,000. So we look at the vertical speed. That's showing me I'm not going up or down right now. If I wanted to climb a little bit, I might give it a little bit of power. And now the little orange bar has to be just slightly above the horizon. Do you see that?
Yep.
A 1 bar width. That's all you need. When you get to your altitude you want, then you bring your power back. And now we look at the vertical speed. We try to get that back to 0. And then we're back up to the attitude indicator. And we cross-check again. We're back up to the... Okay, headings... we've lost 10 degrees, okay? Back up to the attitude indicator. You know, it's that constant cross-checking so that, because if you just stare at one instrument,
get fixated
something else goes away. You know?
Yeah, yep, you're right. I just lost a few more feet of altitude here. There we go. When you do your instrument flying, do you get a little sick?
Yeah, if you're feeling wheezy, let me know right away, okay?
Just a little tiny bit, but not bad.
All right, don't wait till you're about ready to bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's happening is you're used to looking at the horizon.
Right.
And your monitor in your ear kind of learns to adjust for that. You got to teach it a new skill now. And initially, that happens. Over time, after you do this for 300 or 400 hours, you know, it's less of a problem. You let me know if you're feeling sick. We'll shorten it.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you.
All right. Well, in addition to making straight and level, we need to make turns. So I want you to start a left turn. And we want to turn to a heading of 090.
Okay.
And just you want about a 5 or 10 degree angle of bank. That's all.
Okay.
48430, chop this way and descending.
You do this correctly, and the turn coordinator is working correctly. You do what's called a standard rate turn. You'd have that little wingtip right on the L there. Now in the turn, we need a little back pressure, just like we do in regular turns. Otherwise, we'll lose altitude. And the key to this is we never want to get too steep an angle of bank. Then you get in trouble.
Okay.
Whenever you're flying on instruments, you want to keep your bank angle shallow, your climb rate shallow, just very gentle. Because otherwise you can get into what's called the death spiral.
What's that?
So you lose spatial awareness. The plane starts increasing the angle of bank. When that happens, what happens to your lift goes away. The nose starts coming down. All of a sudden you realize you're going down fast and you pull back on the wheel, and that tightens it, makes it worse.
I gotcha.
Until finally you're on the ground. That's what happened to John F. Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
That's how he died. He was in the clouds, and he was not trained in instruments. He had taken some lessons, but he was not instrument rated. And he was out over an area where it was hazy and foggy and poor visibility over the water, and he couldn't see where he was, and he got into the classic death spiral.
Okay.
Bought it. I'm not telling you to scare you then. I'm just kidding you. That's
good to know.
It's the trick to instrument flying is never let the airplane get out of control. We never want to be going down faster than 500 feet a minute. We never want to have a steeper angle of a bank than standard rate. That was a pretty good job on that turn. Okay. Now we'll cross-check our altitude's looking pretty good. And heading's holding pretty well. Again, if the attitude indicator is where it's supposed to be, it's not left or right or up or down, the plane's going to continue to fly that straight course.
Okay.
The Craftsman tool bag is laying on top of that by the co-pilot side wing.
How you doing? Feeling all right?
Yeah, I feel fine.
Okay.
Actually better than I was a bit ago.
Yeah, the spatial disorientation can happen very quickly, and then it can subside too. And if that ever happened to you for real, you're in the clouds and you're starting to get a little bit uncomfortable, really focus on the instruments. Just say to yourself, ignore that, just pay attention to the instruments.
Yeah.
Say it out loud. Fly the instruments. It's kind of like fly the airplane.
Yeah, yep.
All right, let's try a turn back to a heading of 180. Standard rate. It's clear to the right. And we need just a little rudder in there. That's it. Time I flew back from Maine, we were in Bar Harbor, and it was about a 4-hour flight in the Cardinal, and I was in the clouds the entire way.
Oh, man.
I hand flew it for 4 hours. Think about what you're doing and do that for 4 hours.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I have an autopilot now that works pretty good. I use that all the time for long trips. And that gives you some break. One thing you'll notice, if you listen to the engine noise, when you climb, even if you haven't changed the power setting, you'll actually lose just a little bit of RPM. You can hear that.
Uh-huh.
Same thing would be true if you push the nose forward and we increase speed. It would sound like it's winding up.
Yep.
It's another piece of information. Listen to that sound of the engine.
The Star 527 Bravo is the right downwind, runway 24, Chambersburg.
And if you find yourself staring at one instrument for more than a second, that's too long.
Okay.
Cross check. Okay, looks like we're climbing. Yep, we're climbing. We're back here. Heading's 180. That's good. We're still trying to climb. We're back here. It looks good. Still on the heading we want. It's that kind of pace. What'll happen is eventually you'll learn how to look at that scan, and it won't be a conscious effort. Your brain will just start to see the picture and interpret all those instruments, instantaneously as you've trained yourself. Do you play a musical instrument?
I used to play sax and a little bit of guitar.
So when you first started playing the sax, you'd look at the music and you'd say, okay, that's an A. How do I move my fingers to make an A? And I blow and I get an A.
Right.
Once you do it long enough, there's a direct connection between your brain to see what you see there and what you play. You don't think about it consciously. It's the same thing with instrument flying. Right now, You're having to consciously think about looking at each one of those instruments and what that has to convert to in terms of controlling the airplane. After 40 or 50 hours of doing this, you just play the music.
Second nature, yeah. Okay.
All right, so we've been under the hood for 2/10. How long does it feel to you? Probably longer.
Probably half an hour, yeah.
We'll go just another 10.
Okay.
All right, let's do a left turn back to 360. It's clear left.
Okay.
So the first half an hour under the hood, we just do climbs and descents, turns to headings. After you get that to the point where you're starting to comfortable with that, then we'll start getting you to add stuff, like tune a radio,
Okay.
put in a flight plan. And what'll happen is, you'll start playing over here and you'll forget all about this.
Yeah.
And everything goes away.
Right.
So the challenge is, we can only do one thing at a time. Our brain is only a single CPU. So we have to learn how to timeshare. So we spend some time over here, and then we take 1 second over here, and then we're back over here. Then we come back over here for another, and then we're back over here, and that's how you do it. Very, very disciplined. All right, you see how we're going down now at about 700 feet a minute? Probably don't want to go down that much.
Okay.
And now look at the bar. It's 2 bar widths above the horizon. That's climb. You want to get that thing back to, there you go, right there. The very last thing we'll do at the end of your hood training is something called unusual altitude. See how the bar is just a little below the horizon?
Yeah.
And we've lost 100 feet of altitude. So put it 1 bar width above, that's all. 1 bar width. Just the thickness of that orange bar above the horizon, a little bit of power, and she'll climb. That's about a 5-degree nose up. If you look at that little center dot there, the little orange dot, you see behind it there's a 10 and a bar. That's 10-degree pitch up. The little black is 5-degree. 10-degree pitch up is pretty steep.
You said 5's about good though, or is that too steep?
Well, for climbing, 5 is fine. Let's go ahead and climb to 2,500. So give me full power, and put that little dot on about 7 or 8 degrees. Maybe not, maybe 10.
Jumpers away, over Eagle.
And try to keep your wings level.
Jumpers are away.
This is what a climb would look like.
Off is 4.5 to the north. We'll be setting up for a 45 runway 12 lead traffic.
Remember, you need just a little bit of right rudder in the climb for the P factor.
Oh, right. Yep.
And we'll climb to 2,500. Get to 2,500, we bring the power back to cruise, set it by sound, and bring your orange bar back to the horizon. Pretty good, 2,200 right on. See that? You don't even have to look over here. All right, get your wings level.
Skydive 1, Skydive 2, there's traffic on long final for 14, just want to give you a heads up.
All right, give me a left turn back to 240, standard rate. Doing a pretty good job for a first time.
Thanks.
Takes a lot of attention, a lot of brain work. Come back for an hour lesson in an instrument, you're pretty done.
You said 240, right?
240. make it 210.
Okay. Uniform is departing runway 22, right turn out.
All right, let's go ahead and descend down to 1500. So give me some carb heat and bring the power back to about 1500. And try to set up a vertical descent of about 500 feet a minute. Okay. Now you got to get your airspeed into the equation. So we got to start looking at the airspeed. It has to be in your scan.
You're right, I was not skipping. I was not looking at it at all.
Right. But when you're doing straight and level and climbs, it's not